Hi YouTube, welcome to another edition of Horror Hands, and for this video I'm going to go through all the Blu-rays and DVDs that I picked up in the month of August. So I'll get straight into it. So first up from Indicator, I picked up the original 13 Ghosts from 1960. Never seen this before, so gave this one a watch and really enjoyed it. I do like William Castle movies, this was a good one. I really like what he did around his movies. I love the way he built gimmicks around his films and things like that. I'd love to see more filmmakers be like William Castle and put a bit of thought and enthusiasm into what they do. So really great to see this and see his introduction at the beginning and things like that. So yeah, good to finally see the original 13 Ghosts. Next up from Indicator as well, I picked up Berserk, a British horror film from the 60s. This takes place in a circus, a carnival, which is owned by Joan Crawford, and the performers keep getting murdered, and you sort of don't really know why. But yeah, there's a killer in the circus, and yeah, she's trying to find out who it is. It's all right. It's very aged now, not aged too well. But it's decent enough. Elevated slightly by Michael Gough, who is in this, and he's fantastic. So yeah, Berserk wasn't too bad. Next up from 88 Films, I picked up Beware My Brethren, which is another British one from the 70s, I think. This is like kind of a religious-y horror type movie. I couldn't really get into this one, to be honest. This one just didn't do a lot for me. Patrick McGee's in it, always great to see him in a film, and he does do a great job. But yeah, this one, I couldn't get into Beware My Brethren, but nice addition from 88 Films there. Next up again from 88 Films, I picked up the Boneyard, which is one that I see around quite a bit, but I've never watched it. So I got this one. It was okay. It's like a zombie film that takes place in this mortuary. It kind of reminded me of, it's very similar to like Reanimator or Return of the Living Dead, but it just doesn't have the same flair or energy that those kind of movies did. There was just something lacking from it, but it was enjoyable. There was some cool moments in it. There's a great like giant mutated poodle dog monster thing at the end, which I absolutely thought was awesome. Apparently it gets a lot of criticism for the silly effects, but it was right up my street. So an okay movie, but definitely worth watching for the monster poodle at the end of it. So that's the Boneyard. Next up from Second Sight, I picked up the Changeling, which I'm sure most people will know. This is a really good film, really good ghost story with George C. Scott. I'm just picking this up to replace one of the old snapper cases I've got, which is all damaged. I saw the Blu-ray really cheap, so I thought I'll replace that. But yeah, the Changeling is a great movie. Next up from Indicator, I picked up Creatures the World Forgot. So first thing, there's no title on the cover, which really irritates me. Indicator, that's not cool to put the title on the front. But this is one of Hammer's prehistoric cavemen type movies, which is the worst movies they ever did. I'm really not a fan of their cavemen movies. Just a bunch of cavemen running around grunting for an hour and a half. No dialogue, nothing like that. And this one is probably the worst. They're all pretty bad. This one is the worst because hardly anything happens in it. There's no dinosaurs or anything like that. I did hear that this is also known by critics as the creatures that Hammer forgot. Because there's none in it. They didn't put any in this movie. So yeah, really bad movie. I don't know why it warrants this nice release from Indicator. I mean, it's nice packaging and everything, apart from the lack of the title, which irritates me. But yeah, awful movie. I didn't like any of them films from Hammer. So yeah, not great, unfortunately. Next up from 101 Films, I picked up the Curious Dr Hump. which is a strange movie, very, very weird film. I thought it was from the 30s. It's from the late 60s, with this like mad professor. He's working on like this elixir for immortality or something, but it's all like an aphrodisiac as well. It's very weird. It kind of has elements of like the old 1950s horror films, and then like the late 70s grindhouse aspects. But it doesn't mar up very well. It's very weird. I don't know who would like this either. Yeah, very, very odd film. So that's that one. Okay, next up from 101 Films. Not strictly horror, but these are sort of favourites of mine. The second one's got a bit of horror elements in it, but I picked up the Deathstalker 1 and 2 double feature. Really enjoyed watching both of these. Deathstalker's awesome. Deathstalker 2, a little bit inferior, but it's really fun, and it's got a great zombie scene in that one as well. So if you want to see some cool kind of sword and sorcery movies with some cool creatures and a bit of gore, definitely check out Deathstalker 1 and 2. They're very simple, undemanding, silly films, but I had a great time revisiting both of these. So great to get Deathstalker 1 and 2. Right, next up I picked up Disturbing Behaviour, which is one that I've wanted to see for a while. And I wanted to see this because I think it's like a low-key remake of Dead Kids, which is a film that no one really talks about. I really enjoyed that film from the early 80s. This is like these high schoolers that they kind of get taken over by other high schoolers, so that like they're all like perfect and like all like jocks and cheerleaders, but there's something going on where they're taking the less popular kids and like killing them or replacing them, that kind of thing. And I think it's James Marsden is sort of gets caught up in it. But it's a cool movie. I like the late 90s, early 2000s feel to this. It reminded me more of not Dead Kids, but Dead and Buried. If Dead and Buried would have took place in the late 90s, this would be the film. So I really kind of liked it for that comparison. So yeah, good to finally check this one out. Great cast as well in this one. So yeah, Disturbing Behaviour, I did enjoy that one. Next up, I picked up Doll Killer, which is just a very, very low budget little slasher movie of this guy going around killing people, and he leaves like a doll at the scene of the crime. And then there's this woman in it who like repairs dolls, and he comes after her or something. I can't remember, but it's super low budget. Not great, but it had its moments. So that's Doll Killer, and also picked up Doll Killer 2 as well, just so I have both of them. Again, very, very, very low budget. A couple of decent moments in it with the killer, but yeah, not all that much to see really. But glad I've got both of them together. Okay, so next up, this was kind of the surprise of the month actually, by how good I thought this was. From 88 Films, this is Erotic Ghost Story, which is an Asian movie with these like ghost sisters like trying to seduce this guy or something. But I really enjoyed it. I was surprised how much I liked this. It looks great. It's a beautiful looking film with the locations and things like that, and it's not really sort of sleazy or anything like that. It's done really, really well, and there's some great like horror elements as well. So like there's scenes like where the sisters, they look human one moment, then they change to like rotting, melting corpses, which was awesome. So yeah, I thought this was a really, really well put together film, and really nice release from 88 Films as well. This has got one of these slip cases that, I don't know, it's got like a rubbery feel to it. Really, really nice quality. So yeah, that was a pleasant surprise. I really enjoyed that one. Next up, got some more shockumentary with Faces of Dying. This is 1, 2, 3 and 4. I've got the whole collection in one here. So taking off like Faces of Death. This was okay. I've just watched the first one so far, which is a mix of real life stuff, which was pretty strong, and then just stupid fake boring scenes, which I don't know why they include them. It undermines the realism of the other scenes, but nevertheless, it's good to get all 4 of these Faces of Dying 1 to 4. So, yeah, I'll add that to the Shockumentary collection. Next up, I picked up Ghosts of Essex. Not watched this yet. This was like these little sort of programs with this with Richard Felix, and he did like ghost walks around parts of the UK. So this one's in Essex, and he goes to kind of castles and houses and fields which have ghostly stories behind them, and tells you what it was all about and things like that. I find them really enjoyable, so I'm looking forward to checking this one out. So yeah, that's Ghosts of Essex with Richard Felix. Next up, I picked up Ghost on the Loose. It's a little kind of 1940s film of these kids in this haunted house. I've not watched it yet, but yeah, I think that's what's going on in this one. So it stars Bela Lugosi, who of course I'm aware of, and also it stars the East Side Kids, who I'd never heard of. I assume they were some kids that had like a serial or something in the 30s and 40s. But yeah, I just thought it looked like a cool little movie, so I'll check that one out at some point. Right, next up from 101 Films, I picked up The God Monster of Indian Flats, which was absolutely awful, absolutely dreadful movie. It's mainly like a really boring western in this town where there's this internal politics going on in this western town, which I did not care for one bit. And then they sort of shoehorn in this side plot of this sort of sheep monster. It's hardly in it. I wonder if they amalgamated 2 films, to be honest. But it's 95% boring western. The sheep monster, you don't see it much, but it looks terrible when you do. So yeah, awful movie. I don't like this release either. It looks too cartoonish, so not a fan of that. So nothing good to say about this one, unfortunately. Avoid this one at all costs. It's dreadful. Unless you like westerns, you might get something out of it then, but I doubt it. Okay, next up from Network, I picked up The House in Nightmare Park with Frankie Howerd. So this is kind of like billed as a horror spoof. I don't really think it was. It plays out like a straight horror. It's just that you've got Frankie Howerd in the lead role, so he's doing like his oh my goodness kind of thing all the time. But it was a really good film. I really enjoyed it. He goes to this like old mansion for whatever reason, and it's this sort of quite posh rich family, but they've all got skeletons in the closet and there's sinister things going on, and Frankie Howerd gets wrapped up in it. Yeah, I don't find him massively funny. I don't like his carry-on stuff, but he was really good in this, and he did make me laugh. It was a really enjoyable film. It did get me thinking while I was watching it, but I would have loved to have seen Frankie Howerd make one serious horror film. Like, he would have been great in an Amicus anthology or something like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed House in Nightmare Park. Yeah, I had fun watching that one. Next up from 88 Films, I picked up The Human Lantern. This is one of these like Shaw Brothers horror martial arts films. I can't really get into these, and I didn't enjoy this one either. I didn't understand what was going on at all. I've seen a couple of these now, and just they're not for me, so I didn't enjoy this one, unfortunately. But fantastic artwork though from 88 Films. Really nice slipcase. I am happy to have it. It's a nice addition. Okay, next up from Blue Underground, I picked up Love Camp 7, which is one of these Nazi concentration camp movies. One of the earlier ones, I think. This is about 1968. And this one was, I think it's like an American-English production. And the rest of them, I think, have been Italian. So there was a little bit of a difference in this. It was alright. I think it caused a lot of controversy at the time. It is a video nasty, and still, it's still a video nasty here in the UK. It's rather tame now in comparison, but it was good. I'm adding it to my video nasties collection. I only need a few more to get now, This was one of them, so I wanted to pick this one up. But I know it says on here, we guarantee you that you will not live long enough to forget the things that you witness and experience inside Love Camp 7. Well, I watched it a couple of weeks ago and I've already forgotten it, so I can't say I second that, but it was good to finally check that one out. So next up, I picked up The Midnight Swim. This was a really, really interesting film. I thought this was really good. It's very, very different from anything that I normally watch. It's kind of part family melodrama. In fact, it's mostly family melodrama, but there's a strange creepiness going on in the background, which I can't quite put my finger on. Very sort of ambiguous plot, kind of leaves you with more questions than answers at the end of it. Pretty slow, but I just really enjoyed it. I was fascinated by the things that go on. It's these sisters, they come back to town because their mothers died exploring this lake. She goes into this really deep lake and she dies, and they're sort of putting the family back together. But yeah, it's a strange one, almost ethereal at times in what it does. But I was very intrigued by it and I really enjoyed it. I don't know who would like it, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really good, different kind of movie. So that's The Midnight Swim. Next up from Culture Shock, I picked up Night Ripper, which is just like a really low budget slasher film. I'm trying to think what was going on in this one. I don't know if it's like the fashion industry or something. I think people are getting killed off auditioning for something, or like on this fashion thing. I don't remember too much. It was a pretty decent slasher film, but very, very low budget. So yeah, but nice. Again, another nice addition there. Okay, next up, I really enjoyed this. This is called Not for the Faint of Heart. And this is like a fan-made documentary from people who are fans of like extreme cinema and shockumentaries and Mondo films and things like that. I really, really liked watching this. I don't know anyone in real life that likes this kind of extreme cinema, so I have no one to talk to. So it was really great to hear these guys and hear what movies they liked and why they liked them and how they came across them and things like that. I've never had any sort of retrospective look at these kind of shock movies. So yeah, this was really, really good. If you're into that kind of cinema, definitely check out Not for the Faint of Heart. Really enjoyed watching that. It was a great find. Next up from this is Culture Shock. Yeah, I picked up Raw Nerve. This one was really good. I enjoyed this. I think this is from the early 90s. I've never heard of it before. But this is another, like, there's a killer going round and this guy is having visions about it, and yeah, he sort of gets embroiled in it all. But it was really good. Decent cast, good acting, and there's a bit of a twist as well. The story unfolds and it goes places that I didn't really expect. So yeah, I enjoyed Raw Nerve. It's good to check that one out. Next up from Saturn's Core, I picked up Red Lips, which is a vampire movie. Very, very low budget, sort of filmed on a camcorder with these two women that are vampires, and it's just sort of them going around trying to get blood and things like that. It's not bad if you can look past its real sort of scuzzy low budgetness, but it does have a quite an emotional ending, if you will, which I didn't see coming. And a lot of these sort of trashy shot on video things, they don't elicit quite as much emotion that the ending of this one did. So I give it credit for that. But yeah, I enjoyed watching Red Lips. Okay, next up from Scream Factory, I picked up The Serpent and the Rainbow, Wes Craven's movie from the late 80s. I've never actually sat down and watched this properly. I think I had it on years ago when I was really young, but I didn't give it the time. I didn't give it any time. I think because it didn't have extreme gore or monsters in it, I wasn't too fussed. But finally sat down and watched it. Really, really enjoyed it. One of Wes Craven's most ambitious films, I would say. All taking place in Haiti, with Bill Pullman kind of going after this serum or something, which is caused by voodoo black magic, but he gets kind of cursed and enters the sort of hallucinogenic world of voodoo and zombification and things like that. I thought it was excellent. Really, really liked this movie. I'm glad that I sat down and gave it the time. I thought it was really good. So that's that. Okay, next up, this is one that my parents got me, so I really need to thank them for this. This is Stranger Things Season 2 in the retro VHS looking case. It's actually a Blu-ray, but it looks like an old video. Absolutely fantastic release. Try and show it a little bit. It opens up like a video, as you can see there, and you've got the Blu-ray discs. Blu-ray and DVD is in there. I'm sure there's unboxings on YouTube. But this is absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much to my mum and dad just for finding this, let alone getting it me. So I'll add that to the Season 1 VHS that I have. So that is absolutely awesome. Next up, I picked up a little slasher film called Terror at Blacktree Forest. Very low budget. Obviously it has to work within its limitations. This is a slasher film set in the woods. And it was from the UK as well, which was pretty cool, because most of the kind of the backwoods slashers are all American, and they're really awesome, but I don't see many from the UK, so I did enjoy that aspect of this one, and it was okay. It's got some pretty good kills in it, so yeah, happy to get that one into the collection. Next up I picked up one called Video Killers. So again, this was really, really low budget, kind of filmed in someone's house, almost like shot on video. But interesting concept. It's this group of friends and they go to the video store and they end up in like the shockumentary Faces of Death section and rent this sort of Mondo movie. And one of the scenes in it is like someone being killed and they think they know the person. So they try and find out what's going on. Like I say, very low budget. It's not as great as it sounds. It's pretty trashy, but I did enjoy the concept. And there's a great scene where they go to the video store and they're looking around and it scans over the shelves and things like that. And they have an amazing like shockumentary section. It was fantastic to see. So I enjoyed it for that. But yeah, other than that, it's very low budget and very trashy. But yeah, cool cover on that as well. That's Video Killers. Next up from Culture Shock, I picked up Video Murders. This one wasn't too bad. Another really low budget slasher. I've got a lot of low budget slashers this month. This is another one. A guy going around the streets killing off women, and there's a detective on his trail. I thought it was pretty cool. It lags a bit towards the end, but the slasher elements of it were pretty good. And I quite like the detective parts and seeing how he gets around and sort of tracks the guy. That was pretty interesting. And I really like it's got like a real like kind of scuzzy street feel to it, which I thought worked pretty well. So that's that one. Okay, next up from this Camp Motion Picture, I picked up the Video Violence 1 and 2 Blu-ray combo. These are awesome. These are probably the best shot on video films you'll ever see. Video Violence 1 takes place in a video store, which is enough to sell it to me. And there are people in town that are killing townspeople and filming it. And the tapes, like the snuff tapes, are ending up back at the video shop where the owner is finding them and is trying to convince the police and things that there's killers around. Yeah, just usual shot on video craziness, but it's really good. It's got a really good story to it. The acting's not bad for shot on video, and I just love how they utilise the video shop and videotapes and things like that. So Video Violence 1 is excellent. Video Violence 2 is a strange one. This one plays out like a TV show or like a game show. Complete with like commercials and infomercials in between. It's really strange. It's like a mix of blood-sucking freaks, which I don't like, but then like an old-fashioned horror TV show, which works really well. It's a strange one, but I did enjoy it. So yeah, 2 examples of great shot-on-video horrors here, which I don't see very often because they're usually awful. But yeah, video violence is really good, and it's a really nice set as well from Camp Motion Pictures. And then last up, from Arrow, if this will stand up, I picked up the Yokai Monsters box set, which are very strange Japanese films, sort of monster movies from the 60s. You get, I think, 2 from the 60s, and then there was a recent remake, which was done by Takeshi Miike, of all people. But these are like kind of fables, kind of horror fables involving these really odd monster creatures. Very, very strange movies. I've only seen the first one so far, but it was okay for what it was. If you want to see some alternative strange Japanese cinema, maybe check out the Yokai Monster collection. So that's everything that I got this month, guys. As always, let me know what you think of any of these movies. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos.